Welcome, everybody, to an Inside NBA podcast. I am at NBA G, also known as Matty G, and joining me today, say g'day, boys. It's the Super Coach Hawk and Mickey Dell.
G'day, g'day.
Courtesy of the Standard Squeeze and some new products that have come through. How are we all?
Woo! I absolutely love that. Mick, what are you drinking from there today?
Yeah, it's a new 4-in-1 given to us by the Standard Squeeze here. So they've come out and made some wood grain. There's blue, there's pink. There's also some for the ladies as well that they've brought out. A couple of flash little slimline can holders. So you bang in Inside 15 on the website and get you 15% off, courtesy of us here at Inside Fantasy Sports.
Absolutely. This is Super Coach Hawk. This is your first mock draft of the 23-24 season. Are you excited? Are you ready?
There's nothing better than taking a little bit of the edge off with a little bit of whiskey in my 4-1 glass, mate. I'm excited. Can't wait to dive in. Let's do it.
Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. When we get to 1,000 followers, we're going to give one lucky punter an NBA jersey. Your team, your name, your way. Just put your name in the comments below this video. Like and subscribe. Rate us 5 stars and all of the things. We are bringing you fantasy content where if you're in your draft and you're picking it from 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 14, we're going to give you strategies to pick through all those 14 picks. And we're going to do a 20-man mega pod as well. Make sure you're following all our content on Twitter, on X, whatever the hell you want to call it, YouTube. We're going to dive into me picking from pick number 2, pick duel, coming up next.
Miami going for the 3 right away. Just attack the basket. James catches, puts up a 3. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His 3-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Welcome to the Ultimate Super Coach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Boom shakalaka!
What's good, Hoopers? I am at NBA G Wiz, and making his debut, that's the sound of a cherry being popped, is Super Coach Hawk on an Inside NBA show. Welcome, 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 Robbie.
Very excited to be here. Very excited. And what better place to be than during a mock draft on a public holiday here in WA. Can't wait.
That's you swooping in for some good times right there. And the guy that's coming up next right here is my man with the biggest sound in TV and in radio and YouTube, the Big Horse, Super Coach Big Horse. How you doing, brother?
Hello, my man. How are you? And how good is it to have the Super Coach Hawk, my fellow presenter on the AFL podcast, here to do a bit of a mock draft, get a bit of an insight, dare I say, into how we're going to be drafting in a couple of weeks' time.
We're doing a bit of a show right here on the Fantasy Scores app. Make sure that you get to them. Mick, I know that you're using it. Robbo, you're using it. I'm going to tap in right now to the Fantasy Scores site to give me insight in this NBA mock draft. It helps to calculate Z-scores to bring your draft to life. And if you're making a punt strategy, Rob, you're looking at this is your first one. What are you looking at punting this year?
I've got to see who I get first. I love punting free throw percentage and threes. It's quite easy to punt them. I reckon it makes it easy. You can grab some bigs. You can just get some like stat filling point guards and shooting guards. I think sometimes with 3-pointers, you can get locked down a little bit too hard on it. So yeah, I love your Cade Cunninghams, your Giannis Antetokounmpos, your Ben Simmons. It just makes it so easy when you punt free throw percentage and threes. I think it makes it super easy for the basic punter like me.
Yeah, it really does. And that's where Fantasy Scores does give you the insight. Mick, I know that you've been a big one onto it. Mick, I'm picking at 2 for this series. I've just done the ones. We're picking through on this series for Insight Podcast Network. I am picking through pick 1 all the way through to pick 14. And Mick, we just had a chat before that I am off Nikola Jokic after number 1. I'm not going to get a chance to get him. So I'm off that. I can't get him. He's not going to fall to number 2. But the guy who's risen to the number 2 consensus pick almost right now in the last week has been Luka Doncic. We like him more at number 2 right now, only because of the Nick Nurse factor in Philadelphia, correct?
100%. Yeah. Nick Nurse loves to play big minutes to his starters. Is that going to be detrimental to the health of Embiid? Let's wait and see.
You can see right here that Luka is he's coming into the ADP. Between them, it's 0.2. I have never drafted Luka in fantasy before. I've never been in a position where I can pick him up, Robbie. I'm going to take Luka and see what I can shake out with the build based around Luka at number 2.
I like it. I mean, for me, it's probably a Joel Embiid is probably the way that I sort of go with number 2 at the moment. But that's just me sort of sticking to those areas that I kind of know. But like,
Yep.
you can't really go with Luka. If Dallas get a few more wins on the board this year, and if Kyrie has a good year as well, I think he's MVP type. Absolutely.
Tatum at 3.
Oh, but look, this is the thing. Like, people are very much questioning Joel Embiid, his health, what that's going to do long term, and if he's going to be a valuable first round pick this year. But he's been healthy for a little while. We can't say that he's going to be out like we used to, but he's still on the board. You know what I mean? Like, this is someone who's, this is really having a bit of a way right now. He does go at number 4, Giannis at 5. Now, I know, Robbie, that did your head in because you were talking about before this started that you thought pick 6.
I didn't think this guy was going to be here, but I'm going to take SGA, and that's kind of thrown off where my head was going to be at for this draft. But I think for pick 6 to have SGA, I think it's a no-brainer.
Because you were right. Before this started, you were talking to us, being like, I want to take Giannis at 6. He's being slept on a little bit. People aren't taking him. Is it too early to take him? And then he goes at 5.
Yeah. I think that's still too early. I think 6 was nearly going to be too early as well, but I was nearly going to do it just to make the draft a little bit easier for myself. I nearly wanted to take Anthony Davis as well, who's still on the board, which surprises me as well because I would have taken him too. I think he's in the clear top 6 this year, for my opinion. We've got some interesting drafters with us.
Mick, what's been going on, mate?
Yeah, trying a different strategy this draft. Going with Kyrie Irving at the 10th pick. I think alongside Luka, they can both be top 15 value. Kyrie presents great efficiency with what he does, but I'm going to need to pair him with a big, I think. So we'll do that. We'll input our data into fantasy scores and see where my draft is going to take us.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's a little bit interesting right now. We've had some picks go off the board. Targets. It's your first draft, Robbie. Is there any targets who you loved from last year that you want to try and look to get back in the 23-24 season?
Oh, look, you do like picking players who like you enjoy watching as well. So like, you know, what are the games that you're going to sort of tune into and watch? I'm a big Lakers man like you are and sort of like getting them on. It's going to be tough knowing that someone like a LeBron James is probably going to be down there. Do I punt on him too early? Because I enjoy watching the games. But yeah, you love getting those players that you love to see and play with and get him back. I'm a big Caruso fan, but we'll see if he's sitting there at the end of the draft and we'll maybe sneak him in.
Well, bit of a spoiler alert for you, Robbie. He's been undrafted in pretty much every single draft I've done this season so far.
Every draft, yeah.
Maybe not in this
Every
one.
draft.
Maybe not in this one.
You can't take him in round 2, Robbie. You cannot take him in round 2.
You can't take the bald eagle, man.
I'm feeling the pinch. You guys have got to fill me in a little bit on the fantasy scores and how to do this through quickly. I'm really thrown off by having SGA on pick 6. I'm not going to lie with who I sort of
talking about thrown off. I'm kind of semi-erect at the fact that Mick Dell just picked up Sabonis at the 15th pick because Mick, he's been going pretty much in either like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And outside 14, I haven't seen him go at 15 yet. People just are snapping him up very early at the second round because he's not coming back to him. You just grabbed him.
Yeah, really nice value there. And I see he's an ideal fit next to Kyrie as well with points, assists, does the little things well.
Yeah, he really does. Robbie, you're on the clock right now. Points are coming off the board easy. You've got guys like Trae Young who are starting to find form in this draft. Trae Young, if I bring it up there on the screen for you, you can see his ADP has been around 20. He's actually been creeping up a little bit. His rank is 38. His X rank 17. He's probably falling where he should at the end of the day. Oh, Rob, with some upside early on a guy who's slipping into the 30s so far this season, Karl Anthony Towns. You still like what Cat can bring to the table, mate?
Yeah, I think they actually go well together, the two of them. That's more what I'm looking at. I've got, SGA to go someone like a Devin Booker or Fred VanVleet. It just doesn't sit right with what I'm looking at team-wise. To make sure I've sort of got those, I want the points, the assists, the steals, the blocks, field goal percentage I think is important, and free throws. I think Cat's going to give me what I need at the moment. And rebounds is possibly one that I might be able to semi-punt a little bit here. Yeah.
Is this happening for me? Is Jaren Jackson Jr. going to fall to 23rd?
I like Cat. See, I like Cat over Triple J better.
Yeah.
I like him better. for me. I know Cat's gonna.
I do as well. I do as well. But and Kawhi Leonard at 22 is probably a bit of a reach. Like he's probably one of the best guys on board, and he's definitely he has first round value. I'm actually really thrown on this one. I'm probably going to have to take Jaren Jackson Jr. I want Fred VanVleet. You can see I've got him there, but I don't think he's going to last the turn back with Bane being there. Oh, do I take? Oh, I'm going to take Jaren. I'm not going to get him back. I like what he can bring me. He doesn't hurt my free throw. Yeah, Fred VanVleet. There you go. Fred VanVleet goes off straight away. I'm very curious as to what build I can cobble together about now. Desmond Bane does produce a lot of value for me with this build. So I might be making a little bit of a Memphis stack. Is that too early for a Memphis stack? Am I going to?
No.
Is Matty O'Brien going to be feeling a little bit happy somewhere? Just like the spirit of Matty O'Brien.
He's going to be stiff as a road if he sees it. Yeah.
Can I ask
there you go, Desmond Bane.
Can I ask a quick fantasy question, which is, I was going to pick Desmond Bane. That was going to be my pick.
No, you weren't, because Wembanyama off at 27.
So Pascal, that was another one. Once I put my two guys in that I own, how does Fantasies help me with who I should be getting next?
Go up to the top of your page in Fantasy Scores, do your punts, have a look at what you want to punt, and then calculate your punt. So that'll create value based on what your punt strategy is. So click on the two things that you want to punt on Fantasy Scores, have a look at that, and that'll tell you who you should pick. So scroll down the options taken and go from there, Robbie.
Love it. Cool.
Now, with that in mind for you, who are you going to take? Because Wembanyama came off at 27, Siakam at 28, and Murray at 29.
I'm feeling the pinch right now. I mean, LeBron James is sitting there now. I do enjoy watching his games. I think it suits with what I'm going with. I'm going to go. Oh, whoops. Nah, I'm happy with that. That was my other option. Don't mind PG.
Yeah. Don't mind him at all. Don't mind Jimmy Butler there. He's fallen in 30. He's a first round player at the end of the day, potentially. Probably early mid second round. So getting him mid third round is an extra round of value, I would argue. Yeah. Who's it shaping up for? Who's making their way back to you in a couple picks now, Mickey, that you're eyeing off? Who are you flirting with? Because there's one name that's sticking out. There you go. Yeah, that's my boy. I didn't take him. And I've been taking him at the end of the second round, early third round. I didn't take him with this because I've taken him in my pods that I've done from the number one pick. So I needed to do something different. Darius Garland was another target there for assists, obviously with Luka playing an all-round game. But I've kind of lent into points and some defense. I'm going to see where I go from here pretty much. Jalen Brown.
He fell.
Here we go.
So, yeah, Cade Cunningham at the 34th pick, which is a lot later than what he's been going in a lot of the drafts we've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Mick, I think you've just got an absolutely sensational coup there. We've got 4 picks back to you, Mick. Talk us through the next lot of picks. There are some names on the board too, mate.
Yeah, so looking through Fantasy Scores, and it's looking like I'm quite strong in most areas apart from blocks and turnovers again. So people that shoot straight to the top of my list, LeBron James and Paul George and OG Anunoby. So I've got all 3 in my queue now with 3 picks before me. Let's see who comes to me. I don't think OG Anunoby is going to make it all the way back to me, although I'm going to find it really hard to pass up on LeBron James in the 4th round if he gets to me.
Oh, there he goes straight away. There you go. JFJ's taking him, and he's teaming with Paul George. So he's taken a bit of an LA homer, those 2 picks back on back. At the end of the round, if 36 and 37, they're there. Mick, you'd argue that's great value.
Oh, 100%. That's brilliant value, even though, like LeBron, he's an awards chaser. So I argue that he could potentially play 65 games this year. Yep. He's got the Oscar Smith overall points record in mind. I think he plays as many games as he can. But for my pick or the way my team's being constructed, I'm going OG Anunoby with my 4th round pick.
Yeah, I really, really like that one. That was 39. Pick 40 was Miles Turner.
That's nice.
Robbie, it is nice for Miles Turner. Robbie, you're making a lot of noises that one would associate with the bedroom. Obviously, you're in the throngs of passion or pain. Which one of the two is it?
Mate, like this is why I recommend everybody get in and do some mock drafts before their seasons begin and stuff like this. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm sort of just learning the new systems. I'm like, it's one of those ones where fantasy scores, it's like giving out some serious data, but like anything, you just got to learn how to use it, get on, do some mock drafts, see how these match up for you. Just having a quick look, it's telling me like points is what I've got to look at, assist, steals are in a pretty good spot, free throw percentage and field goal percentage. So I've sort of got to look in those areas right now. Which with me looking at my pick, I was kind of hoping, I think De'Aaron Fox is already off the board, which I was looking at. I think I've got points, rebounds don't matter, assists need to be up there. Drew Holiday. I think I'm going to take KP. KP's in my team now.
Yep. Very fair. Chris Porzingis, obviously injury cloud with him. Does that concern you at all? Like what? Because he had his best season, one would argue, last season over in Washington.
It does, and I think he had one of his better years. And I know he's gone to Boston now. I also think he's going to step up at the defensive end as well. Which for me at the moment, steals are in a good spot. Rebounds are in not a bad position as well. And blocks aren't too bad for me either. So for me, I think he'll step up at that end at the same time as being strong offensively. Hopefully he gets back and gets in that team. I think he'll be used a lot at Boston. You don't go out and throw a max contract around for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Now, after that, Vucevic has gone. I was looking at Evan Mobley and Jamal Murray. I am looking very much now at punting free throw percentage. It's not exactly in the garbage, but I'm just going to see what I can toy around with because this is my first draft that I've done from the second pick. And I'm going to have to take this guy here because I think if I'm punting free throw percentage, Nick Claxton right here with Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be welcome to the block party that is my team.
100%.
Like, I think that is just giving me blocks galore at this point in time. And now it's back to me at pick 50. And this is where I have said to you, Mick, you know who's the guy that I haven't drafted here yet that I've thought about drafting at pick 50. And he likes to party in the summer with a big inflatable ring around him.
The Big Horse?
Yeah, Jordan Poole, a pool party.
Yeah.
Apart from you, the pool party. But I'm going to lean into this whole punting blocks. I'm going to go Zion. Because if I'm punting, free throw percentage, and I'm looking at my overall game, he's about where my free throw percentage is falling in the 700s. He's not bad at it, but that's a really nice little couple pair I've managed to get there. And he can be a top 25 player at the end of the year. After that one, Zion at 50. Chet Holmgren went at 49. He wiped him out for me. Drew Holiday at 48. I took Claxton. Scotty Barnes at 51. I like the value potential there. Brandon Ingram at 52. Another Matthew. Hello, other Matthew. My dark nemesis. He's coming in. There's a lot of good guys on the board coming around here and starting to play in value. For me, I'm going to wipe off the WI because it looks like Jay Williams. There he goes. The pool party right there to the other Matthew. Thank you. A Matthew of my own.
Yeah, the pool party was who I was going to go to as well. So that kind of hurts me a little bit. I don't like Bradley Beal. I'm really struggling with this.
I think Beal has potential at 54. We've done a few mocks now. This is about where Brad's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want upside? Do you want advice? Do you want upside advice?
Yeah.
Upside advice? Rob, I know this is your first one. If he's there on the next turnaround in that point guard, shooting guard position, Tyrese Maxiell. I think around now is Tyrese Maxiell time.
If I didn't hear the countdown clock and it was freaking me out a little bit, I think Maxi would have been my pick. I think it fits in a bit better with what I was going for. But 2K took over and I'm just screening some threes with Bradley Beal. But yeah, I don't love it, especially with him at the Suns at the moment. But look, especially as I'm sort of punting that area as well. So I'll be looking to trade him with somebody that wants him. Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, get a Suns homer that likes him. But also, you can maximize that potential if Booker goes down or Durant goes down, or DeAndre Ayton gets moved off to Portland because they want Yusuf Nurkic as their center. And that's been talk. Like, that's a legitimate conversation that you would rather have Yusuf Nurkic on your team than DeAndre Ayton. But then again, if they bring in Damian Lillard randomly into Phoenix, that's fucking crazy, isn't it, Mick?
That's a mental team, isn't it?
That is mental. Orange Julius has gone at 57. There you go. You've taken the guy himself there. We're talking about that is the trade. If he goes to Portland, there is nothing but upside ramping for DeAndre Ayton at the 58th pick, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he'll be the centerpiece there.
Yep. Yep, you put him around Scoot, Shaden Sharp, mate. That's looking really nice. And that's a fun bad team. Good stats for your fantasy season.
Yeah, let's see how we go here.
Ooh.
It's a bit of a different draft, this one, which is he took Giddy. That's who I had in my queue. Righto.
All right, 59.
Trying to grab Beal and get him off my board at the moment. I need to get him on my team.
I need another.
I think we're gonna pick up Paul. If Paul makes his way to the big horses, we're gonna pick up Paul Banchero. For the Aussie viewers, for those of you listening in America, it's Paulo Banchero.
Can you say it with the accent one more time so I'm happy?
Paulo Banchero. Paulo Banchero making his way to the big horses.
And there he goes at 61, Tyrese Maxiell, Robbo. 62, Jalen Williams, and there he is. He's made his way. Can we call your team the stable? Paulo Banchero. Fuck. Kyle Kuzma went at 64. Damn it.
Oh, you were right, Mark, weren't you? Yeah.
You know I'm liking Kuzma around this time. I think it's Kuz season around the 70s. Like there's a roadmap for him, isn't there?
There is. Yeah. And
well,
I think,
who are you looking
to? Do you think do you think he's of greater value now in Washington now that Porzingis is gone and Beal's gone?
Yes, I do. I think the big three. He's the stable horse there, and you're a horseman. He's the stable horse. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who's been there the longest. I think there's going to be enough room to share around. They've got an incredible playmaker in Tyus Jones on the team right now, who can really lead that team and open up a lot of looks. Franz Wagner, Tyler here off the board. Where are you thinking, Robbo? Like, what's in your head right now? What position?
The thing for me is points and free throws, and all the things that I'm not loving are the things that I've got to grab at the moment. So, like when I normally would go like a Rudy Gobert or something in this position was sort of who I was looking at. But things have really jumped up for me. I'm kind of looking at Michael Porter Jr. In this position, which I think I'm actually going to go because my team's kind of taken a bit of a twist now with Bradley Beal coming into it. I've taken a bit of a twist. So MPJ is coming to my side now because points are sitting up high for me. Rebounds are in there as well. Free throw percentage is big. And so it's there's a few there for me that I've had to sort of take on board now.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of power forward centers. I see what you mean. Like when you start to fill up your positions, if I look at my draft, I've got one point guard because Luka's only point guard. Like, even though he switches out and plays other positions, I've got shooting guard, small forward Bane. I've got a power forward center with Jaren Jackson and Zion Williamson. I've got Nick Claxton as a center. This is a 2-center league, so I've got a lot of activity in that forward spot. I probably need to lean into a guard and get some points and threes up. And I'm probably thinking that Ja Morant went. I was going to actually I was going to get the stack. I was going to go the Grizzlies stack. I'm not going to get the Grizzlies stack now. Where's Cam Johnson? Hello, Cameron.
I just put him in
to his mum.
There was no way he was making it back. Yeah.
No way. Cameron Johnson right now. I need points and threes to offset this. He's got an incredible free throw percentage. For me, that has to be Cam Johnson making his way to my stable. Sorry, McDell. But he is trade bait. Chris Paul now at 74. That could really fill up some spots for me. Do I go a safe pick again? Oh God, I'm going to do it. Am I going to be single-handedly responsible for talking up Chris Middleton in fantasy basketball this season?
Yes.
I need it. I need another small forward. He doesn't get guard eligibility. That's my only thing. I probably need another guard. Who am I going to fuck with? I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to go Middleton. I like Middleton. He's a top 40 player, top 50 player, and I'm getting him at 74. Like, how's this?
I don't mind that.
His house me. I look. I'm really heavy with my small forward, power forward positions now. I'm really going to lean into guards, but this is where I'm thinking I'm going to get guard value late, Rob. I mean, like, I know this is your first mock draft. You wait until you start to see some of those guards come up later on in the draft. There is like an absolute spree of point guard shooting guards that go off the board anywhere from probably, Mick, what is it, about 90 to 110. Mm-hmm. In that range, there's 20 guys that just go straight off the board. And And Middleton is safe. He's going to give me points. If God knows if a case of Yana situation goes down where, he goes injured, Chris Middleton's going to become right there as one of the central figures right across Drew Holiday. I think there's value there. And there he goes, Chris Paul at 77. They've said he's going to start in Golden State. For how long, I don't know. But there is value for him right now where he's falling in drafts. Rob comes to you at 78, mate.
Yeah, I think, and this is where my team's sort of taken a bit of a twist. I think I'm going to grab Brook Lopez. I need another center in there. It's going to help out.
May I suggest some upside later on for you? At the next pick, if you're still there, I want to give you one of the steals of the draft you might have slept on. And I think this is someone, can I give you you've got your center now though. I'm going to give you a tip afterwards for someone. Mick, I think you're high on this guy as well. We might lean into giving you some nudgy advice because I really like Brook Lopez there as well. I love Lopez. I think there now, that's where I picked him up like 2 rounds later last season, like towards the end of the draft. But this was the best buck last year in fantasy basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a reward there. Capella off next. Mick, how's your team shaping up and who are you starting to look forward towards?
Team is shaping up not too badly.
I like
according to Fantasy scores, I'm only deficient in turnovers, which is nice, but I'm going to really shore up points, rebounds, assists and steals from the point guard position. And I'm going to try a little magic stack. So I'm going to draft Markelle Fultz with 82. And I'm going to, dare I say it, because every time I've said it in a podcast, our player goes.
Yep.
But I'm going to go into Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah, that's a nice guy on the turn to come back to you. I like that. That's a nice little magic stack. And again, I know that Mick, I know when I first mentioned stacks and everyone said I was a little bit crazy, like you don't stack in fantasy basketball. I'm like, why not? Like we discussed this previously. When you're looking at your playoffs, if you finish on March 24, there are 4 teams that you can target for your quarterfinals and semifinals with 4 games each that are the Blazers, the Wizards, the Clips, and the Bulls that give you the only guys with 4 games each during that time. Sorry, 8 games. So 4 games each week. There is a difference. There is the Brooklyn Nets do a 5-3. So they give you that as well. But that gets you into your finals. And if you make it to your playoffs, you want games on your board because that's important in fantasy basketball, isn't it, Mick?
100%. Yep. Minimal moves. You get yourself there. You've got the players. You've got the game weeks. You got maximum volume. You're getting maximum return. Smart.
Tyus Jones at 84. Terry Rozier at 83. Jones at 84. That's a nice pick, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really nice there. I can hear the cogs in your brain ticking over, Robbie.
Jeez, Rob, you have an actual conniptions. What position, Rob? What position you're looking at right now? You're looking at and you're doing your head in.
It's honestly, my brain is just thinking because I'm honestly just like working through this computer system at the moment. There's like so much data here to sort of break through it. And I think it's just once everybody gets their head around it, which you guys obviously have using fantasy scores, it looks like such a powerful tool to use. I think that's just
ridiculous,
me
isn't it?
For the most time. Yeah, it's unreal. But I seem to have, I've definitely had a couple of blemishes with a couple of picks that didn't quite go the way. Like I said, I think it's just learning this system. I look forward to the next draft. So I think now I'm going to kind of play away from it at the moment and just kind of go with my gut.
That's 100% what to do. 100% gut is hugely important. And there you go, Mick. Your gut was telling you Wendell Carter Jr., regardless of fantasy scores, regardless of any kind of app you can use, regardless of ADPs and rankings, you've got to go with your gut in fantasy basketball because it's going to put you in good stead and give you some thoughts outside the box at times.
100%. And according to fantasy scores, he was number 1 for me as to who I should have targeted anyway. So it works well.
So that's where gut and data work hand in hand together. But then there's guys who are jumping out early right now. Like Clay. Oh, my Lord. Did I just see what I think I saw? Please, someone tell me I didn't see that. Mick, what was
Westbrook
that?
Again. 89, Westbrook.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Look,
that is
does he have value? Are we just being complete write-offs to him? Yes or no?
No.
Austin Reeves.
Points,
that's nice.
Sometimes rebounds, because he chases the ball.
That's nice.
Assists sometimes, but what else does he do now? He's getting old. He can't rely on his agility like he used to. He's not top 100.
He is not top 100. He is not top 100.
I like John Collins at this round. I think John Collins at this point, going to Utah as well. I think John Collins is a nice pickup at this point in the draft.
That's a really nice pick, mate. Yeah.
I think that's a really nice pick, Rob. 91 for him. There is upside for John Collins this season. The reformed John Collins, a happier man in the Salt Lake City.
Andrew Wiggins. See John Collins back in the pick and roll in Utah. If he's in the pick and roll, he's top 40 value. He is one of the better finishers at the rim. Don't fuck around with him on the 3-point line, please, Utah.
Please don't do that. Please. You've got there's going to be. Oh, it's my turn to. Oh, all right. Rob, I'm going to take him only.
Doing that. Like, I think that's good chat about John Collins though, at the same time. Like, do you think that's more on John Collins or that's more on the team? Has John Collins got a little bit soft and sitting out on the 3-point line, or is it the team situation?
Where else are you going to play Capella in Atlanta? You can't stretch it forward with Capella, so he's forced to get his minutes.
I like it. Who you going, Matty?
He could play alongside Lauri Markkanen and say Kelly Olynyk, who are both stretch bigs, and still be able to pop or roll. I think it's ideal for him there.
Yeah.
I've taken Mark Williams. He was the center I was going to recommend you, and the fact that he's fallen to me now, I think there is an absolute role for him at 95. I reckon this is a top 5 round guy value, top 60 at the end of the year. I definitely need a guard though, because I'm very guard shy with my 1-point guard, and you can see that I've stacked that center spot with dual eligibility. I'm going to go an upside guard because I don't think he's still there. Scoot is gone officially. He's the earliest I've seen him. So I am going to take Trey Jones. It's probably too early for Trey Jones, but I'm not going to get a starting point guard of that caliber that I want in my team. And because I was so shy on him with point guards early on, I went into my small forwards, power forwards. I needed a point guard. I've taken Trey Jones with the upside there. To bring me back something to steady the show in San Antonio beside Victor Wembanyama, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Zachy Collins, I actually like the value that he could possibly return for me at the end of this year. After that pick for me, Marcus Smart making his way up the board. Before that, Draymond Green at 97, Jonas Valanciunas at 96, and I took Mark Williams with the 95th. And I reckon that there's a roadmap for him after Plumlee's left in Charlotte. And if they play small, I think it's going to be matchup dependent, but I think we are definitely seeing the death of guys like Kai Jones and Nick Richards over there in Charlotte, and I think they're going to do that. So. And there's Houses Harris with the 100th pick. That's about as safe a pick as you can get at the 100th in fantasy basketball as Tobias Harris.
So I'm in the same position as you. I need a guard, and I reckon you left a starting guard behind who I still believe is underrated. I think this guy doesn't get enough raps for what he does. I think he's going to still play a huge role.
I know who you're going to pick.
Yeah.
A little bit of purple.
It's a homer. It's a homer, and it's a good pick.
Little bit of a purple and gold coming out in you. Yeah,
I've been picking him up regularly at 100. Yep, he's nice.
Yeah, I just think he's still slightly underrated. Look, he's not going to tear it apart, but he's a starting point guard. You know what he's going to do. They're going to give him minutes. I think LeBron plays a little bit less minutes as well, which means they're going to need his offense.
100%. 100%. And again, if he is trade bait to go to Dallas or anywhere, do you want to not showcase him up until the deadline?
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
I'm all right with that for you too. Picking up, there's nothing wrong about DAngelo Russell in my mind at the 100th pick. Nothing wrong with it. It's a very fair and solid pick. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm going to check out where he ended up falling last year, because if you look at his games played, what he did overall at the end of the day, if you look up hashtag basketball, DAngelo Russell last season, here we go. He finished last year at the... There you go, the 55th pick. So you just made 40 picks of value. Over the course of the season, he was the 55th best player, played 71 games last season, and you've just picked him up at pick 100. Now there's value, and that's exceeding value at an exponential rate. There he goes. Yep, Ben Simmons. I knew when I clicked on that mark it was going to be Mick Dell taking Ben Simmons. Mate, you love what he represents for you this season, don't you?
I do, but he's hurt me before, but I'm ready to get hurt again.
Should I? I should do it?
You should.
No question about it. I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah.
This could be bounce back season, though. 100%. Oh, I think I don't want to rob any advice. What are you going to say, Mick?
I think it is bounce back season for him.
Ray Murphy, 10 games at 100, could get some upside. Gary Trent at 113, Aaron Gordon at 114, and the 115th pick is the sounds of cogs going inside Rob Kennedy's head. So
I'm happy with that as well. I don't mind Yusuf Nurkic at this point in the time. I needed another center. I've got a few big boys in there. Yeah, I like the Nurkic. I take him. You know what you're getting.
I do.
Nothing too exciting.
You do. Dependable Yusuf Nurkic.
He's a Toyota Corolla.
He is the Toyota Corolla, but he's bigger than a Toyota Corolla. He's just bigger than a Toyota. He's just bigger than a Toyota Corolla. I'm about to possibly make 2 huge coups here, and I am hoping that this shakes my way. And I love that this, by the way, shout out to Yahoo for the draft scouting, because this is a lot of fun sometimes when you see these guys around your team. People are starting to listen. That's a really good integration that Yahoo's done this season. So hats off to them. Oh, he's there. And you know who I'm taking. The headband warrior. This, for me, is a guy in fantasy basketball who's hugely valuable at 120. He is a point guard. He's a shooting guard. He is a small forward. He has eligibility all over the place. They paid him the bag in Indiana, and I am getting him absolutely everywhere. Bruce Brown is 100% a take at this point in the draft. 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm really stacked with. Am I still small forward, power forward, and power forward? Okay, so I need to probably go a shooting guard, point guard again to up that. I probably need some more assists.
Right. I finally fixed things up a little bit here. Let's go have a look. All right. So I'm in 2 minds. I'm loving Josh Hart at pick 122. You know the upside value that I see in him. If I'm looking at assist on their projections, Mike Conley is sitting there, but I know I'm not going to get Josh Hart back, and people are sleeping on Conley. So I am going to go Josh Hart, and I'm going to hope that Mike Conley makes his way back to me. Any of you guys eyeing off him? I'm going to eye guys like him, Dennis Schroeder, that's just going to throw me some assists and some points late in my draft, I think. Yeah, I've been looking at Mike Conley as well. Again, talking about Toyota Corollas, you're just dependable. He's a bit better than a Toyota Corolla, but he's super dependable. You know what he's going to give you. He's going to get the minutes, and his productivity is pretty solid.
Yeah, he doesn't hurt, and he's a nice guy. We like Mike Conley. We like what Mike Conley can do in a draft for you, especially this value late. It's value. It's just value, left, right, and center. I'm probably weak on points, threes, and assists at the end of the day, with leaning into like guys like Josh Hart and Bruce Brown. They're not sexy by ways of points. But yeah, you've picked up Mike Conley at 126. Robin, as you said, you're all about getting a guy back at value.
Yep. That to me was a no-brainer at that point. I was having a look. I needed another guard. Again, I know what I'm going to get for sure.
Yep. Mick O'Shane's on the board, making his way back to you. What positions do you need filling at this time? If you're looking at your team, right here, Mick, you've so far managed.
Shooting guard, I think, and small forward. So I've got. Yep. I'm going to go young.
You're going to go young? Okay.
Yeah, I've got a couple of players in mind that I think are going to play fairly prominent roles. They were picked up early in drafts last year. Mr. Miller at the Charlotte Hornets and Mr. Thompson at Detroit. So if they both fall to me, they'll fit in really nicely in the team that I'm trying to build.
Yeah, I like Asul Thompson. I'm really high on what he can do in Detroit this season, especially if given that role. There's one of the guys I was watching right there. Miles is taking Jaden Ivey at 129. He's being slept on a little bit. DeAnthony Melton, there's a roadmap for him. And Colin Sexton, that's a really interesting back-to-back. Sexton and Patty Williams at the end of that draft. Sexton's got points, but Melton at 130. Who's going to be left in Philadelphia, Mick? Who's going to be there?
If he doesn't get picked up in the last round, I'll be picking up Paul Reed. I think there's a big scope for minutes for Paul Reed next to Joel Embiid.
Yeah, newsflash, he's not getting back to you. If I'm getting Paul Reed with like this last pick of my draft at like a 150, and he's going to be the starter there, that's nuts. Like this is where it now is like this is when we talk flyer picks, Rob and Mick.
Yep.
This is where you hold the ball. This is balls to the wall. You hope no one takes your guy at the end. Like earlier on, you can kind of change, but it's the flyer picks that go off in the last 2 rounds that get super competitive in drafts, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What's your vibes on KCP? Like he's dropped down. His ranking's still up there pretty high. He's Benedict Marathon up there as well. Like these are guys that are going to put up some decent numbers. Like even Tyrese at Houston had a good year last year.
Love that you brought up KCP, Robbie. You think about Denver and the way they are. They've got their starting 5, and who else do they have? He's going to play big minutes.
His value, and he doesn't hurt you anywhere. KCP is going to get more of a role, I think, with Bruce Brown being gone as well. I got 20
seconds. Do you go with KCP or do you go with Malcolm Brogdon, who you know is going to start in Boston?
No, don't take him. Don't take him. No, KCP. At 139, Safe as houses. He's in the safe as houses family. If I'm building like a hotel street in Monopoly where I can build houses on, if I can get the KCP stack, I'm putting a house and then a hotel on the guy because he is dependable. 140 for Schroeder.
He does his role really well. I mean, he was actually a big part of the Lakers getting that ring as well. Like, he just does his job, hits the three when it counts. You know what you get with KCP.
100%. I've got 2 picks left, and I'm talking all upside here. I've been splitting my last 2 picks between upside and solid. I do want to draw attention to another guy who's currently gone undrafted, and that's Dylan Brooks.
No.
He is not being drafted, and I need a shooting guard. I need a shooting guard. I need points. I need threes. I need steals. I can get a couple of assists out of him. I think Dylan Brooks right now, if I'm punting, I'm punting kind of free throw percentage a little bit, but I think that he's going to put up the points that I need to help me win this league. Like he showed out for Canada. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I like guys with chip on his shoulders. Is he a dickhead? Yes. Do I like him? No. But am I going to take him to get the points and the threes that I need in my league right now? 100%. Because if someone's smart enough, if Buddy wins, is smart enough, he might have just snuck in there and taken him. I am going to take Amen Thompson there, is still in Houston. If I look at the Thompson twins, these are guys who are gone. Clay's out. Amen's there. But the other guy I'm liking as a last round flyer, and only because I missed out on him the other day, and this could kook me, is Jalen Johnson in Atlanta. I missed out on him in my last draft. It is my last round flyer pick. I probably need some more assists and another playmaker. I could probably pick up someone like Javon Carter late, but I'm going to take some upside right there with Jalen Johnson. Just pure upside. If he doesn't do anything over in Atlanta, I'm going to drop him. But with Okongwu and him, and Sadiq Bey is still on the board, he's probably got the more stable role. I like what I like what Jalen Johnson can offer, and I can drop him. And then Caruso got drafted.
What? And it wasn't Rob.
I'm literally, if I could share my screen right now, I'm on him, and I was just ready to say, I'm really sorry to everyone.
You got hawked
for making a mockery of this. Wow.
Mick, we've done about 5-6 mock drafts, mate. He has never been taken, has he?
That's the first time he's been picked up. He must have known Rob was in the chat. Oh my God. I have not seen that, Robbo. I'm so sorry. Who did you end up pivoting to at the end?
I took Denny Avdija. I think he's actually got a bit of upside this year to what he's going to do.
Usual pronunciation.
That's taking me back to
Love it.
Avdija?
Abdiya.
Muhammad Jihad? I'm completely thrown off. All I wanted to get out was how...
I think you've done the call to the dog, because the second that you started calling it like this, you can see that Dasher, the dog has run straight over the second you said Danny Advia's name like that. Is that a secret call that brings dogs to the neighborhood if you say it with that pronunciation? Dasher was just on that way.
It's taken me back to when you actually took Caruso from me in an actual fantasy draft, mate. No, it wasn't a fantasy draft. It was a 2K. It was a 2K draft league.
It was a 2K draft league. I was standing for him. I was like, I took him.
Can I just bring it up before my next pick, boys? So yeah, I started by punting blocks and turnovers. And the way my draft went, I didn't bring it up earlier, but I've had to change my strategy given the best players available. And I've now turned into punting 3-pointers made and turnovers, which is, it's made me very good in 6 out of the 9 cats. One thing I need to do is strengthen my points and boards and assists. So the best that I can see, if this guy's healthy, I think he can provide a lot of that, and that's Gordon Hayward.
I like that.
Now, Mickey, I know, and hopefully our listeners have been listening to the podcast where I talked upside picks when I picked from one. And Mick, you were right there with me in that pod. So we did that one together. I picked him up with my last pick. This is a guy who's a top 90 player when he's healthy.
He is.
Like when he is healthy, Gordon Hayward, I mean, he finished last season at 144, but he also only played 50 games. So when he is healthy and plays more than that, he jumps into the top 100. And if you're picking him up around 150, it's 50 spots of value you get. This is the year that he's back healthy, if the year he gets traded to a contender, Mick, that's a great pick. Guys after that were Tara Eason. And like I said, the starting point guard in Chicago, Javon Carter is widely going in the last round. He is going to be an absolute coup for someone in a draft because he gives you a lot of statistics, peripherals, and he's one of the best 3-point shooters in that Chicago Bulls team. You would agree, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree.
Is he genuinely going to be their starter?
He's generally their starter.
Yeah,
mate, they've committed to him as the starter. They've 100% committed to him being the starter in Chicago. I think it's going to be, you're going to see Javon Carter. You're going to see, I would probably argue you might see Caruso for defensive purposes come in as a 6-man off the thing, depending on the matchup, because Javon does play solid defense.
Are they going to show off Kobe White to try and get trade value out of him?
Nah, man, he's the scorcher off the bench, I reckon. He's really happy in that role there. He's come a long way and accepted that now. I think last season was big progress for Kobe White in Chicago, and his game was successful, especially now in the stretch when he just settled into that role. But if you've got Javon Carter starting, you're probably going to look at Zach LaVine as your shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan more forward, Patrick Williams as your power forward, or DeMar or him interchangeable, and Vooch is always going to be your center there. But then off the bench, you're going to bring in defensive presences like Alex Caruso, because he's a much better complement as a point guard to play beside Kobe White in Chicago, because he's more of a scorched scorer. So I think that's where those guys, as a 6th, 7th man, you could literally then take Zach LaVine off. And look, you could do it. You could do one of those weird things in basketball. You do a 2-for-1, and you take off Javon Carter and take off Zach LaVine, and you roll out Kobe White and you roll out Alex Caruso. That's not a bad starting 5. That's not a bad 5 lineup on the floor if you're the Chicago Bulls.
Can I just divulge a little bit into our Fantasy Scores website? And we go into our statistics with us 3 versus the rest of the people in our league, Matty Garrett, you are average or better in 7 out of the 9 categories.
Good win. I'll take that.
Rob, you are average or better in all categories, according to this.
Great.
Yes.
Yep.
I am average or better in 7 of the categories. And then it shows everyone else that's drafted. So we'll just throw out a random name. Your other Matthew. So he's only average or better in 5 of the categories. So you can see how valuable this tool is. You can see how valuable this tool is to keep track of where you're going with this.
I think the biggest thing I take from this draft is like I've said it a few times throughout it. And I think one thing, if I can suggest to you guys going forward, this fantasy score has so much data. It is a seriously powerful tool. Hearing you guys chat, you look as calm as Cadell Evans coming down the final straight of the Tour de France. I just need how to use it. How to use it. Just getting those tips, picking up, because just getting the understanding of what's going on here. I'm looking at it. It's so strong. It's so powerful. To everyone at Fantasy, massive shout out to what you've produced here. I look forward to picking your guys' brains on how to utilize this, because if you get thrown off with that first round pick, so many times we've been sitting at pick 6, we're like, oh, I'm going to have this person or this person's definitely going to be there. I know what I'm picking. And then bang, SGA's there. And it just changes. This is the tool you need to help you. You just got to get your head around it.
And I think that's where you draw from as well. This is my draft, my upside draft, and this draft, I put into the tool. I didn't use the tool for my second pick because I'm nervous as hell with drafting with Luka, my number 2 picks. This is the first time I've drafted without using Fantasy Scores, doing one of these exercises, and shout out to our sponsor. But this was my gut instinct going for 2 because I haven't done it yet. I needed to on my feet. And so now if I do a draft like this, then I draft using the tool, and then I try and take it best of both worlds. So always go with your gut. Don't just rely on tools and trackers, because again, they're always going to be reflexive to what happens in your drafts. You need to go with doing mock drafts, do your research, know your teams, know their schedules, know their players, know their histories, know how they roll their lineups. And although the preseason is the preseason, pay attention to how they shape up, especially the last 2 games of the preseason. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. The preseason is important. In the first quarter, in the last 2 games, where they roll out their starting 5s a lot of the time, and they give those guys 12 minutes. And that 12-minute sample is what you're going to get 82 games out of. Yes, the game itself can be a bit of a wash. Yes, they'll pull them. And yes, you look at the score sheet and wonder why the fuck LeBron James has played 18 minutes in a game. But there's your sample size in the first quarter. Pay attention to the preseason first quarters, because that's what they're going to use, and that's what coaching and NBA staffs use to show their fans and show punters what is going to be in store for the next 82 games. It's the first quarter and the last two, unless they rest their guys. But generally, if it's a home game, also pay attention to them, because I definitely think there's value in paying attention to their guys like Keontae George in Utah. If he ends up becoming a starter, there's my upside pick in the last round, Keontae George in Utah, if they decide to utilize him over Colin Sexton, for example. Would you agree with that, Mick, or am I incredibly insane in saying that the preseason is actually somewhat relevant?
100%. 100%. You play your starting five for a little bit of continuity, but the rest of the time it's about gauging your depth, giving your bench players a bit of a role, giving them a bit of a run to see what they can do. But you're not going to waste your starters in preseason, no.
Absolutely not. Rob, you're a Lakers fan this season. I got a bit of a question for you, sleeper-wise. You said before Austin Reeves went a bit high. Do you see that there's a power struggle between him and DAngelo Russell in the Lakers team, and that Austin Reeves becomes more unleashed if DAngelo gets moved, even with Kyrie being there? If that's a trade that make or Buddy Hield there, do you see Reeves or Russell having more fantasy relevance at the end of this season from a Lakers perspective?
Yeah, well, the last thing I want to see from a Lakers perspective is somebody come in and stop Austin Reeves from being unleashed a little bit. I don't want him to just turn into a 3-and-D guy. The guy can actually be a playmaker. The guy can actually score off his dribble at the same time. Like, he's got Brandon Ingram type abilities. I think if you bring in a Kyrie Irving, I think he's going to get just stuck out back into that sort of 3-and-D role. And I think he's got a bit more to offer than that, in my opinion. So personally, I don't actually want to see Kyrie come into the team. I don't think he's the right fit.
Yep.
I actually don't mind how the list is getting put together, and I think they've got some rosters that they can tweak around with your Vanderbilts. What's his name that we picked up from Miami as well? Like, I'm happy with
Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, I actually like the roster with where it's at.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that show. It's going to be a powerhouse here. The Western Conference has got a hell of a lot better. And you know what you need to do to get better? Draft. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Insight NBA channel and Insight Podcast Network. We have all of your content. I am picking from picks 1 through 14. That was my team from pick 2. At the end of the day, I'm going to read out my pick team. We'll go through our teams really quickly, boys. Our teams and what pick do you have? Mick, your picks, your team at the end of the day shaped out as what?
Yep. Kyrie Irving, Cade Cunningham, OG Anunoby, Paul Banchero, Domantas Sabonis, Ben Simmons is in there, DeAndre Ayton, Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Onyeka Okongwu, I really like the upside of, especially if Capella gets moved. And then Brandon Miller, Osar Thompson, and Gordon Hayward.
And that was you picking there at 10, Mick. Rob, you picked picking at 10. Rob, you picked at 6. Your first pick was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Take us through your team, mate.
Yeah, pick 6, and somehow SGA fell to pick 6. I had SGA, Cal Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler, Kristaps Porzingis, Bradley Beal, MPJ, Brook Lopez, John Collins, DAngelo Russell, Yusuf Nurkic, Mike Conley, KCP, and Durka, Muhammad Jihad, Denby Avdija.
Dasha has passed out okay. You didn't manage to wake her with how you said it that time. This was my first draft, picking from draft number 2. So if you're looking for a team with upside and to punt free throw percentage a little bit and grab yourself some additional defensive statistics where Luka may be a bit more shallow than some, although he does get you almost a steal a game, it's not a steal a game. So what you want to do is you want to fill out those defensive stats and profile with someone like Luka. I went Luka, Desmond Bane, Trey Jones, Cam Johnson, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zion Williamson, Nick Claxton, big coup value just in the top 100, outside the top 100 with Mark Williams, Chris Middleton, Josh Hart, Bruce Brown, Dylan Brooks, and upside pick with my last one, Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. That was my team picking from 2. This is an Insight NBA podcast. Hooroo. Thanks very much for listening. Like and subscribe. We're coming to you every day with as much fantasy content as we can get you.